Everyone tells you the 401k match is free money. It is. It's also the smallest, dumbest, easiest decision in this entire story. And somehow it's the only one anybody talks about. Priya and Dave both get the same match. Priya stops there. Dave keeps going. For 10 years, Priya feels like the smart one. She got her free money. She's done. She's basically financially enlightened at this point. Dave just feels like an idiot handing extra cash to a system he doesn't understand. For a future he can't picture, for reasons he can't fully explain at parties. One of them is about to find out that free money was never the twist. It was the opening scene. Let's keep this fair, almost suspiciously fair. Priya and Dave start the same job on the same day, same $65,000 salary, same city, same tax bracket, same HR rep giving the same sleepy 401k presentation with the same clip art of a beach. The plan matches 100% up to 4%. That's it. That's the entire match. Not a metaphor, not a bonus round, 4%. Priya does the math in her head, correctly by the way, sets her contribution to exactly 4% and never opens that screen again. Dave does the same math, gets to 4%, and then, for reasons even he can't fully justify, keeps nudging the little slider up. Like a man quietly feeding a vending machine that only dispenses later. Year 1, the entire gap between them is 1 percentage point. 1. If this were a heist movie, this is the scene where nobody suspects anything yet. For the first few years, Priya is winning every social contest that matters. At the barbecue, when retirement comes up, she says the magic words, "I get my match," and receives the nod. The nod of a person who has done the responsible adult thing. Nobody has ever said, "Let me tell you about my 1 extra percent because it is," and I cannot stress this enough, the least interesting sentence in the English language. Dave doesn't get a nod. Dave gets a shrug. He's basically the guy at the party who brought his own seltzer water. But feelings and math are about to have a very public falling out. Here's the assumption almost every I got my match employee is making without ever saying it out loud, that the match is the finish line. That capturing the free money is the whole plot, and everything after that is optional bonus content nobody needs to watch. The plan documents don't say that. Dave's HR rep definitely didn't say that. She was too busy trying to get through the beach slideshow. But it's what getting the match feels like. It feels like checking a box, closing the laptop, and never thinking about it again. Right up until the ending makes you think about it a lot. Vanguard's How America Saves report tracked millions of real 401k accounts and found something almost cruelly specific. The median employee's contribution rate lines up suspiciously well with the match threshold, and then just stops. Not because they calculated the ideal number, because the enrollment screen had a number on it, and nobody in the room mentioned there was a better one. Priya is that median employee. She's not being lazy. She's being handed an unfinished sentence and reading it as a complete one. Now let's talk about what's actually compounding here, because it's not just Dave puts in more money. It's three things quietly stacking on top of each other like a very polite disaster. First, raw dollars. At 4%, Priya invests $2,600 a year. Dave, climbing from 4% toward 15% over his first decade, is eventually investing nearly 4 times that. More money in means more money growing. Groundbreaking, I know. Second, and this is the one nobody puts on a poster. Every dollar Dave contributes shrinks his taxable income the very same year. Priya isn't just investing less. She's also paying tax on income Dave never gets taxed on in the first place. It's a stealth cost hiding inside the first cost, like a Russian nesting doll made entirely of missed opportunity. Third, time compounding on itself. A dollar Dave puts in during year 2 doesn't just sit there being a dollar, it earns a return. That return earns its own return, which earns its own return, in a process financial advisors call compounding, and everyone else correctly calls kind of unfair if you're on the wrong side of it. By year 20, a huge chunk of Dave's account isn't even contributions anymore. It's growth stacked on growth that Priya's extra 11% never got the chance to generate, because it was never invited to the party in the first place. None of this arrives as one dramatic gut punch. It arrives quietly for years, and then all at once, like a plot twist that was actually foreshadowed the entire movie, and you just weren't paying attention. Year 5, Priya's at roughly $17,000. Dave's at $24,000, a $7,000 gap. Priya doesn't notice because she's not comparing herself to Dave. She's comparing herself to last year's Priya, and that number's going up just fine, thank you very much. By year 10, Priya's at $41,000, Dave is at $79,000, Gap $38,000. Dave hasn't done anything heroic. He's nudged a slider once a year like a man slowly turning up a thermostat nobody else can feel yet. By year 15, Priya's at $73,000, Dave's at $168,000. The gap, $95,000, is now bigger than Priya's entire account. Read that again. The gap alone is worth more than everything Priya has. Year 20, Priya's at $118,000. Dave's at $312,000. The gap has crossed $250,000. $250,000. From 1 percentage point a year. Year 25, Priya's at $178,000. Dave is at $541,000. Priya's entire life savings could fit inside Dave's last 5 years of gains, with room to spare. Year 30, retirement. Priya walks away with roughly $260,000. Dave walks away with roughly $891,000. The gap, $631,000. $631,000 between two people. Same salary, same company, same start date. Both of them, technically, factually, got their match. Priya never saw it coming because her statement always said her number was going up, and going up feels exactly like winning right up until someone shows you the other statement. Now, if I only showed you the glory of maxing out and rode off into the sunset, I'd be doing the exact same one-sided sales pitch every just contribute more influencer does, conveniently skipping the part where that advice doesn't survive contact with an actual paycheck. So let's be honest about when Priya's path is genuinely the right call, because there are real ones. If you're carrying 20% plus credit card debt, paying that down beats extra 401k contributions on pure math. Nothing reliably returns more than a guaranteed 20% interest cost. Nothing, not even Dave's smug little slider. If you don't have an emergency fund, build 3 to 6 months of expenses first. A 401k is not a piggy bank you can crack open in a crisis without taxes and penalties taking a bite out of it. If your household is genuinely stretched at 4%, jumping straight to 15% isn't discipline. It's a New Year's resolution wearing a spreadsheet costume. A contribution rate you abandon by March helps nobody. And if your plan's fund lineup is genuinely bad, high fees, no decent index option, there's a real case for capping at the match and rooting extra savings into a cheaper IRA instead. None of these say 4% is the right number forever. They say emergency fund first, high interest debt second, then climb as fast as your actual budget allows. Not your Instagram budget, your real one. Here's what actually works, and it isn't picking a side in the match is enough versus max it out showdown. Step 1, get the full match. Always. No exceptions. It's an immediate, guaranteed 100% return on that first 4%. Nothing else on this planet reliably matches that, including, ironically, the fund literally named Match. Step 2. Once debt and emergency savings are handled, raise your contribution rate gradually, even 1% a year, exactly like Dave's slider. You will not feel a single 1% bump. You will absolutely feel what 10 of them, compounded for 30 years, quietly become. Step 3. Automate the increase so future you doesn't have to remember, decide, or feel brave about it. Dave didn't win because he had more willpower than Priya. He won because he made one decision, one time, and then let 3 decades of compounding do something he never had to think about again. The real trap was never taking the match. The real trap is mistaking the match for the finish line, when it was only ever the opening scene. If you want to run this exact plot with your own salary, your own match, and your own timeline, that's what the calculators in the description are for. Drop your numbers in and watch your own $631,000 gap, or your very different one, appear in real time. And if you're wondering whether Dave's slow and steady climb still wins against someone who front loads hard in year 1 instead of ramping up slowly, that's a different story, with a twist you might not see coming. If this changed how you think about that 4%, you already know someone who's still standing at the finish line thinking it's the whole movie. Send them this, and if you want the next episode the day it drops, that's what the subscribe button is for. No pressure. Dave didn't rush either.